Hello and welcome to my latest live stream. In this video, I'm going to be going over this week's NFL power rankings. I've been doing the power rankings right from the beginning of the season and pre-season ahead of week one, and I just thought for the time being, I would go live and just discuss some of the decisions that I've made in the rankings. I know it always is a cause of debate, power rankings, and some people agree with stuff and some people won't. So just for um, get everything out in the open, my team, you might be able to tell, see from the top, but Philadelphia Eagles. So if there's going to be bias, it's going to be towards them, and I can assure you that there isn't any bias because they're rubbish at the minute. But we'll uh, we'll talk it out anyway, and obviously you can see. Let me know what you all think of my rankings. So I think the undisputed worst team in the NFL is the New York Jets. 0-7 this week. Their result was kind of a bit respectable. They took on the Bills, lost 18-10, but they're 0-7 for a reason. They've had a few hammerings. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're possibly the only team to have been shut out this season by the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins beat them maybe like 23-0. So I think it's pretty obvious they're the worst team. The team who I thought was going to be the worst team in the league, I had at 31 this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they lost to the Chargers, 39-29. So they put a fair amount of points on the board, but I still don't particularly rate them as a team. 30th, the New York Giants. They were unlucky not to win this week. They probably should have went 2-5. They're playing Philadelphia. Philadelphia scored 2 late touchdowns to win the game by a point, 22-21. So they've dropped from they were 29th last week and they've dropped to 30th this week. There's not much you can do. Yes, they were close in their defeat, but the Eagles aren't that good. They lost to them, so they have to be down there. The Bengals were my number 29. Lost to the Browns. Lost twice to the Browns this season, actually. The Browns are having a good season, so we'll not criticise that too much. But they're 1-5-1, with the extra one at the end being the draw against the Eagles. It's kind of gave them their best day of the season. At that stage, that was their first game they didn't lose. So 28 was another team. A team who I definitely thought was going to be better was the Atlanta Falcons. They lost 23-22 to the Lions this week, but they had been 25 in my rankings, and a few teams below them won. So I did move them down a bit. The Falcons have a lot of good pieces, particularly in their offense. They have a lot of talented players, but for whatever reason, it's not working. And 1-6, 1-6. They were a team who I definitely had them a good bit higher in my preseason rankings. And they're a team who, despite losing games, seem to be almost, they were only just losing them. So in some ways, I was happy enough to try and keep them a wee bit higher than maybe they should have been. But they're now down to number 28. 27 is another team who I think are better than their record suggests. 1-5 Minnesota Vikings. 26, exactly the same, Houston Texans. The Texans seem to be running into just all the good teams in the NFL. Kind of feel a wee bit sorry for them. They lost again this week to the Packers, who are one of the best teams. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they maybe started with the Ravens and the Chiefs or something. They had a hard start. Remember, like in the first couple of weeks, they seemed to be playing all the top teams, and they've lost to them all. So I guess they are down there for a reason. Number 25 are a team who I expected more from as well, the Dallas Cowboys. They got hammered again this weekend, 25-3 against the Washington football team. Dropped to 2-5 on the season. It's kind of hard now to see what positive's going to come for the the Cowboys at this stage, obviously with the injuries they have. Dak Prescott getting injured, and the they were struggling before that, but now they still have a poor defense, and they're equally poor at the other end. So at number 24, I had their Victors, the team that beat them, the Washington football team. So they actually jumped up from 31 up to 24. It was a convincing win against the Cowboys, and you kind of have to look at it and think they're 2-5, but their two wins have came against NFC East rivals, and the fact that that division looks so bad, um, they're really not that far out of being a playoff team, which is crazy. Number 23, my team, the Philadelphia Eagles. It was a good win against the Giants, especially sort of the way the game panned out. But 2-4-1, they just, I don't know. The Eagles don't look like a good football team. They don't look like they're able. The offensive line, obviously, there's crazy problems there. Carson Wentz is just getting beat up. Defensively, they don't look as strong as they have in the last couple of seasons. Although certainly at times, they'll pull out a few big plays. But I just don't think that they're a particularly good team. But we're only 9, 10 teams in here, and I've already got all 4 NFC East teams out already. So there's a playoff spot. There's going to be a playoff spot, and it's probably going to be for a team with a losing record. So who knows who's going to pick that up? But you could maybe be in the playoffs with six wins. 6-7 wins could get you a playoff spot in that division. Which is ridiculous. And ultimately, despite being a Philadelphia Eagles fan, whoever gets the playoff spot in that division, unless there's a massive turnaround, deserves to get hammered when it happens. So 22, I have the Denver Broncos, 2-4. They lost heavily at the weekend, 43-16 to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are a good team, so I'm not going to beat them up too much on that. But it was a heavy loss and divisional rival. So it's obviously not going to go down well in Denver. 21, we have a team that won at the weekend. I was going to say San Diego Chargers. Excuse me for that. The Los Angeles Chargers beat the Jags 39-29. Obviously, giving up 29 points to the Jaguars isn't great, but they won up to 2-4. Probably, not going to do much this season, but they got a win, so it's a positive week for them. Number 20 is sort of an interesting one. I have the New England Patriots. They were destroyed at the weekend by the 49ers, 33 points to 6. The 49ers, to their credit, have kind of turned things around the last couple of weeks. They were kind of on a bad rerun there. The 49ers, I think I had like number 4 or something at the start of the season, and they were really letting me down, I felt. But they have turned things around. That was a good win against the Patriots. It's interesting to see, obviously, with the changes, that the Patriots made in the off season. That was interesting. Was Belichick or Brady going to come out of this the best? And it has to be said, at the minute, it looks like Tom Brady was the man that's going to be getting the credit with the Patriots now at 2-4, I believe. Yes, 2-4. So one ahead of them, I have the Carolina Panthers. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had the Panthers actually number 32. I had them rock bottom. They started off really bad. I had them already at a low spot from the very beginning. And I just thought with certain changes they made, Cam Newton moving on, I didn't really expect a lot from them this season, but they kind of turned it around. And even their defeat this weekend, they lost 27-24 in New Orleans. So it's respectable. It's a respectable enough result. They were unlucky maybe not to turn that down, but they're 3-4 for the season, so they've kind of had a good run after the first couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting to see where the Panthers go from here. Are they going to start moving up, or have they done as much as they're going to do? Miami Dolphins, number 18. They were on a bye week this week, so there's not much to say about them. But they're 3-3. Again, they're another team that could probably go either way. the Bills maybe look like the best team in that division, but the Jets are obviously, they're looking like they're playing for the number one pick. So there's not going to be a lot of competition there, and the Patriots at 2-4. So if they can push forward, they could maybe push towards a place in the playoffs as a wild card, but we'll see. So who do I have next? Number 17, the Detroit Lions. Lions are in order. They beat the Falcons this week, 23-22. The Falcons, as I've already said, I expected more from them. So I do give them some credit for that when they jumped up 4 spots in my rankings this week, from 21 up to 17. Takes them to 3-3 in the season, which 500. You're probably not that far away from pushing for a playoff spot at that rate, especially in the NFC, where the NFC East teams are just going to be completely out of any reckoning for playoffs. So if you can push up, get another couple of wins, obviously they're in the same division as the Bears and the Packers, who are doing well. So they're probably not going to push that high, but we'll see. 16. Who's at 16? The Las Vegas Raiders. So it feels weird saying that. They were hammered 45-20. The biggest show in Las Vegas this week was Tom Brady, and 3-3 the Raiders are. So again, they're still in the hunt, but they'll obviously need to improve a bit. They have had some good results this season. Beating the Chiefs, obviously one of them, but they'll be disappointed to have lost so heavily at home to the Buccaneers. Number 15 was the Colts, who were on a bye, 4-2. The Colts are one of them teams who, like, in the first week, I had the football team and the Jaguars as my bottom two in the first week, and I think they beat the Eagles and the Colts respectively. And for me, it was kind of, I felt a bit let down by them and thought that they were maybe not going to do so well, but they've come back well, 4-2. So, again, another team that could be pushing on. 14, the Browns. You can't take it away from the Browns, 5-2. Everybody the Browns are a funny team where, like, you would almost like to see them doing well because they've been through so much over the years. They're 5-2. They've obviously lost Odell Beckham Jr., which is a big miss for them. I know Mayfield, he's been getting a lot of stick in the press, the talking head. But I answered a lot of critics last week. I think after really, was it like he had 0 passing yards and 1 interception in the first quarter at the weekend, and bounced back from that, and I think he hit all but 1 pass the rest of the game after that. I know it was like something like 22 or 23 or whatever the number was. The 1 pass he missed was whenever he spiked the ball or took a knee or something. I think he spiked it towards the end of the game. But yeah, 37-34, 5-2 on the season. It'll be interesting to see what they can do without Odell Beckham Jr. But they've got a running game, so they might be able to keep pushing on, but we'll see. 49ers then, obviously, really big win for the 49ers against the Patriots, 33-6 in Foxborough. So it was a good win for them, and they're up to 4-3 now, after a bit of a mixed start. So I think the 49ers are a good football team. They haven't particularly shown it all of this year, but I think there's a good team in there. So if they can get themselves sorted, there's a potentially a good side there. Number 12 is the Bears, 5-2. They lost this week to the Rams, which wasn't a disgrace. The Rams also move up to the 5-2. So it was a good game between 2 good football teams. I'd say have the Rams at 11. So yeah, they beat the Bears 24-10 at home. 2 decent teams, 2 teams that could meet again somewhere down the line in the playoffs. So moving into the top 10. Number 10, the Buffalo Bills. They were number 9 last week, but I actually moved them down a spot just because they didn't really convincingly beat the Jets, who were brutal. So they moved to 5-2 with that win. So they're probably unlucky, to be fair, losing. a spot in my rankings with a win, but just the nature of the win and some of the teams around them and how things went in other games and stuff, I felt that they would move down a spot. The Cardinals number 9. That's one of the reasons I was possibly going to slot the Bills in at number 9 again, but I felt that the Cardinals beating the Seahawks, who were in my opinion the number 1 team last week. So 37-34, a good game. Moves the Cardinals up to 5-2. So it's quite an interesting division there, and certainly a lot of talent in that division, and it'll be interesting to see what happens from here on in. Number 8, it's Tom Brady. Tom Brady still doing it. What, he must be about 105 now. He's almost as old as the number of Super Bowls he's won. But no, I have them up at 8. 45-20 win against the Raiders. They're really coming strong. They got off to a rough enough start as they sort of settled themselves out, but they've been flying now. And they paid the money to bring Tom Brady to Tampa Bay, and they're getting rewarded. So staying in the NFC South, at number 7 is the New Orleans Saints, 4-2 after a win against the Panthers, a tight win against the Panthers. So what's the situation there? I don't know. Are the Panthers good? Did I get them badly wrong at the start of the season? Is normal order restored? The Saints I also had a bit higher than 7 to start the season. So they're a wee bit hit and miss, but they're 4-2, and they'll be happy enough with what they've done so far this season. So we'll see. The top 6, I think a lot of these teams are interchangeable. I made a decision at number 1 this week, and I made it for a specific reason, which I'll get to. And not necessarily because I specifically think they are the best team in the NFL, but I'll get to that. So at number 6, coming off a bye this week, I've got the Baltimore Ravens, who are 5-1. The Ravens I had as number 1 at one stage. I think it was the week before they lost to the Chiefs. I've had like a run here for about 4 weeks now where the number 1 team that I've put at the top of the rankings has lost. So, it's bad news for number 1 this week. 5th, if the Tennessee Titans, dropping from 4th. I think the Titans are a good football team. They're 5-1. They lost to the Steelers at the weekend. They were going into that. Both teams were going into that perfect, and the Steelers come out. It was a tight game, but the Titans maybe just a wee sort of lack of experience in some positions, and the Steelers just kind of being the Steelers got the job done. Number 4, then obviously the Seahawks lost because they were my number 1 prior to that. So yeah, sorry Seattle fans. They lost to the Cardinals, which they're still 5-1, so they're still a good side, probably be in the playoffs, no problem. But yeah, I apologize for costing you the win last week. Another team who I put as number 1 and cost them their first defeat of the season, the Green Bay Packers. I have them at number 3 this week, 35-20 wins over the Texans, go 5-1 in the season. And number 2 this week, again, I had them pretty sure I had them at number 1 the week that they lost to the Raiders. So, apologies for that, but a really convincing win for Kansas City. 43-16 against the Broncos to take them to 6-1 for the season. And finally, last but certainly not least, number 1 in this week's power rankings is the only perfect team in the NFL. The team that keep the 72 Dolphins awake at night. The Pittsburgh Steelers, 27-24 win in Tennessee over the Titans to go 6-0 for the season. So I probably, brutally honestly, don't think they're the best team in the NFL. I think probably, in truth, I think the Chiefs are still there to be knocked off the top spot, but they're the last team with a perfect record, so I felt that they deserved that respect as the top of the rankings. So that's what I have for this week. argue it, tell me I'm stupid, tell me why your team should be better, or why some other team's worse. I love to hear it. I enjoy the banter. I enjoy talking about it. Let me know if you think this is a good idea. We'll see how the numbers work and see if we want to do it again or not. See if it gets many hits in that. But I just thought it would be interesting to actually talk about it rather than just put on the video. So you can still watch the video. It's only like a minute and a half, and you can see where you're at, but where your team's at. But until then, we'll draw a line under it for there. But I don't know who the Steelers are playing yet next week. I haven't looked it up. I'll look it up before I go, actually, because if I were the type of YouTube channel that gave out predictions on matches, I would be predicting that the Steelers are going to lose this weekend, purely because I'm literally ruining team seasons on a weekly basis. I putting them number one on my power rankings. So we're week 8. Let us see, who do the Steelers play? That's going really slow. Steelers schedule. Steelers in week 8 are away to the Baltimore Ravens. Exactly the kind of game that they could lose. So yeah, Baltimore's going to beat Pittsburgh. And then basically what I'll do from next week is I'll just start picking whoever the Philadelphia Eagles play as number one on the power rankings and see if I can't get the Eagles into the playoffs for that. But on a serious note, thanks for watching, and don't be shy to let me know your thoughts, and if you think it's worth explaining the power rankings. Thanks for watching, and catch you again.